because if I don't do it now, I will forget. And I think we're up and running now. So we will get started this evening, and as people join, I'll just try and let them in as we're going. So I think I have met all of you before. My name is Nicola Johnson. I work with Water Polo Queensland in the areas of performance pathways, which covers athletes, coaches, and referees. Tonight is the second of our online referee information sessions. We've got 3 that are currently planned. They're every fortnight to 3 weeks, and then we will be having them ongoing throughout the season, but the first 3 have already been advertised with the content. The next one will be in 3 weeks' time, because in 2 weeks' time, we'll have ourselves either in New Zealand. We've got 5 teams heading over there. We've also got 4 teams heading down to the National State Championships. So that week will be a little bit busy. So we'll miss that week, and we'll then jump online again the week after that. So I'm going to share a PowerPoint presentation with you tonight, because I think it's a lot easier for you to be able to read some words at the same time that I'm talking things through with you. Again, the same as the last session that we had. This will probably be a little bit more interactive than the previous session. The previous session was more probably just an overview of where refereeing is going in Queensland, Australia, and worldwide. But tonight we're really focusing in on the rules. So what are the new rules that have been implemented since June 2025? And also, which of the rules that they introduced back in 2025 in January, some have stayed, some have gone. So, we're going to be focusing tonight on these new rules. So I'm going to start sharing a presentation. Now, as most of you would be aware, as soon as you do this, you then also lose faces. I can't actually see any faces at all, but can someone unmute and just let me know that you can see that presentation?
Yes, thank you.
Great, thanks very much. Again, I know this isn't in full presentation mode, but it's easier for me to leave it in this mode as long as you can see it clearly enough, because that allows me to still let people come into the meeting as we go through. So as we've stated, we're going to be talking tonight about the new rules and also the implementation of those rules. And we'll focus on the following aspects. So what are the new rules as of June 2025? We'll then talk about the confirmation of the new rules that were introduced in 2025 January. Some stayed, some didn't. Then to talk a little bit more about penalty fouls, because when you award a penalty and when you don't award a penalty, this is a really, really important aspect of the game. So we'll talk through a checklist for yourself to go through very quickly, obviously, about whether you should be calling a penalty or not in every situation. As well as that, we're going to talk about the 3 C's concept. Now, some of you may have heard me speak about this last year. This is something that World Aquatics have introduced at the highest level. And it's really, really a great concept that we believe, or I believe, that we should be refereeing all the way through, whether you're at World Aquatics or whether you're just starting. You're not doing a rules test tonight, so don't freak out and hang up now. I'm just going to talk to you about how we're going to approach that for the upcoming season, and then we will also have any questions and answers. But again, please, if you're going through, I don't want to wait till the end of the night and then you come back to it, slide 2 and ask a question. Please, before we move from one slide to another, if I could just get whoever's just joined to mute would be awesome. Thank you. Excellent. Thank you very much. And then, please ask the questions as we're going through. Don't wait right till the end. Okay, let's jump into it. So these are the rules that as of June 2025. So probably apart from myself, there's no one that's actually refereed with these rules confirmed, because there hasn't been a lot happening since June 25 in competitions within Australia. So the key changes to note, it is a 28-second possession clock for both men's and women's. So there is no differentiation now between the men's game and the women's game. Everything is the same. We've now got an 18-second clock for exclusions and when there's rebounds and a regaining of possession. So I don't want to confuse you by saying it used to be this and it used to be that, because some people are brand new to refereeing. So we're just going to focus on what are the rules and what we're going to be refereeing when we start putting the whistle in our mouth this weekend in Queensland, for example, at the All Schools tournament. So 28 seconds possession clock and 18 seconds on an exclusion and a rebound. The other thing that they have removed from the rules, which I think is a really good idea, is when you get 3 exclusion fouls, you no longer have to go and sit on a separate bench. Now, I know not every organisation use that, but they've removed that. So that's great. We don't need to worry about that anymore. If you get 3 fouls, you stay cap on the bench, no problem whatsoever. The other one to be aware of, again, I'm talking here at an international level, is the halftime break in a game is now 5 minutes. So that is not what we will be doing at our state titles and neither at our BMJC. And I very much doubt that AYC will be doing that either. But just so that you're aware, we're talking the international rules here. It's now a 5-minute halftime. Again, we don't do this in Australia because we don't have the facilities, but with the VAR check that happens internationally, there's no limitation on what can be checked any longer. So as long as it's done fairly quickly, not like in one of the Australian games that you may have seen online in Singapore at the World Championships, you can have as many video referee checks as needed as long as they're done fairly quickly. The other thing that is being confirmed is a team now consists of 14 players. So you are allowed to have 12 field players and 2 goalkeepers. Again, this is a rule that's World Aquatics. Within Queensland, we are saying the teams can be 14, but it is up to them whether they have 1 goalkeeper or 2. That's totally up to the team's perspective. But just so that you know that the rules that will be played at a national event and internationally is it's 2 field players and 2 goalkeepers. If you don't have 2 goalkeepers, you go with 13 in total. So are there any questions or comments on any of those? They're all fairly straightforward, just confirming what was introduced as of June 25. Okay. What we're going to focus on now is the rules that were introduced in January 25. So we've only had these, most of you, for probably only 4 months of the year because there's not a lot of winter programs that are going on. So these are just confirming that these are the new rules and will be operational throughout Queensland and Australia. So as I said before, men and women are no different. They now play 25 metres and up to 20 metres wide. So the field of play is the same for both. With regards to substitutions, when a player is excluded and they go to the re-entry area and the coach decides that someone else is going to replace them, they need to have the 2 players in the box, both with their head above the water, but no longer do they need to high-five each other. They got rid of that because, to be honest, no one was doing it anyway. So it was a silly rule to have in there when no one was going to do it. So as long as both heads appear above the water, they're both in the box at the same time. When the referee is happy for that player to come back in, they can do so. But we need to remember, if we do a flying substitution in a game, there still must be the high five. The other thing with regards to a substitution is if a player, so I'm on the blue team, I swim out to get substituted. I'm in the flying sub area along the side of the pool. I get there and there's no one from my team to substitute with me. I can come straight back into the field of play, the same place that I left, I can come back in. I don't need to go down to the re-entry area and enter that way. So just be aware, if I go out, if there's no one in my team to substitute with, then I can come straight back in. So again, these are all some things that are new throughout this year. So we just need to really be careful on these and be on top of our game, knowing what players are allowed and not allowed to do. And the other thing that was new earlier this year, I probably have only seen it a handful of times throughout the whole year at all different levels. But again, I think the more the coaches get used to this, the more it will happen, is if a player is fouled inside the 6 metres, we know that they can't shoot at that point because they're inside the 6. But if they play the ball, move outside of the 6 metres, their head and the ball is outside 6, you as a referee need to be aware that that player is now allowed to shoot. So when you see that that player has played the ball, they've moved their head and the ball outside the 6, as a referee, you raise your arm in the air, then that player is eligible to take a shot at goal if they wish to. They obviously don't have to. They might pass it off, but they can shoot if they choose to. Again, the more the coaches and players get used to that, I think we're going to start to see a lot more of that. So again, as a referee, just being really aware that that is allowed and is a method of scoring, that a goal would exist. So before I go now on to the next slide, are there any questions that anyone has on any of those 3 rules that are now part of our water polo rules? No? Okay. Either that or everyone's fallen asleep or disappeared because I can't see anyone. So I'll keep talking, assuming someone's there and still listening. The next couple of rules to look at is the taking of a free throw. So what they're trying to do in our game is make it less stop-start and more free-flowing and give advantage to the attacking team. They like to see counter-attack. They like to see goals. So they're really trying to think of ways to make it a free-flowing game. So let's say, for example, the blue shoot, the ball rebounds, and it falls just to the side of the white team, and they're on a counter-attack. If I am the closest player to the ball, but I'm on a counter-attack and going into attack, I do not need to stop my counter-attack and go out to the side to get the ball. I'm allowed to swim past the ball and go on the counter-attack, as long as the second closest player goes to get the ball. So the person behind me, I've swum past because I'm on a counter-attack, that person must go and get the ball. If they swim past the ball, then the referee must turn the ball over. Or if they're swimming really slowly to get the ball because they're trying to waste some time, again, you can turn it over. But just being aware, one person can swim past, but the second person can't. If they don't, you're then going to turn that over. The other thing that was new this year, and again was a lot of debate about will it stay, will it not, is the going under the water by the defender to gain a position. It's always been a contra if the attacker goes under and gains possession and the ball comes to them. But now they're saying if the defender goes under the water to gain an advantage, and that's why I've got gain in capital, you've actually got to get a benefit out of doing it. This is impeding because it's stopping the attacker doing what they're wanting to do, and that would be an exclusion against the defender. If the defender goes under the water and there's no advantage, nothing whatsoever, then you don't call anything. It hasn't affected the game whatsoever. But if they go under and they gain possession or position, then you would exclude that player. Probably doesn't happen a great deal. It's more likely the attacker will duck under, but just to be aware that that can happen. And the last one on this slide is, again, for those of you that have been involved for a little while, there's no such thing as wasting time in the game anymore. We know that in the last minute of the game, people would maybe sit on the ball and try not to lose it because they were a goal or two ahead and didn't want to give the ball to the other. So there's all different rules and it kept on changing. Now it is very simple. If the goalie gets the ball and they sit there, they can sit there and hold it for 28 seconds. There's no problem. They can pass it into one side of the pool. They can throw it back. They can swim in circles. They can do whatever they want. And you're not to turn the ball over. The only time that you would turn the ball over is if they refuse to play the ball. So by that, that means I get the ball and I dump it in the corner. They don't want it anymore, then you can turn it over. But apart from that, they can sit there and do whatever they want for the 28 seconds. Again, so because it was very difficult, are they wasting time? Are they not? It was just too much up to the referee, and we need to make it in our game, which is so difficult to referee anyway. We need to try and get it as clear as possible to help the referees make the right decisions. So again, before I move on to the next slide, are there any questions or comments on any of those three rules that we need to be really aware of?
So Nicola, Nicola, it's Gail.
Hi, Gail.
Just in the chat, I've put there, so basically with the defender going underwater to gain a positional advantage when they're marking the centre forward, you won't exclude them unless, for example, the attacking team are looking to pass that ball into the centre forward at the time the centre back has emerged in front.
Yes, absolutely, because they've done that to gain advantage. So absolutely right, Gail. That would only happen if you'd see the attacker and you go, oh, no, we can't pass there. The defender's gone under and they've stopped doing that. So yes, you are correct.
Yeah, just trying to make it a little bit clearer as an example. Yeah.
No, that's great. Yeah, thanks, Gail. Georgina, you've also got your hand up.
Yeah, do you address other aspects of going underwater in the game later on? Because then I don't ask the question.
No, ask now, because no, I don't, because the other one's been there for a little while. So please fire away.
Okay, so as an offense at restart, you are an offensive player going underwater, trying to gain advantage as part of the game, and then there is a long pass. Is it allowed? Is it not allowed? What is the goal on that one? There was a few questions in the school competition around that.
Yeah. So if the attacker goes under, so whether they go under, they pull around, any advantage they get by ducking under the water, you don't call it straight away. You wait to see if the ball arrives. If the ball arrives, yes, you must call it. You wouldn't call it 15 seconds later, because so much has happened since then. But let's say I'm defending out the top, we get the ball, I pull around my player or duck under the player to get an advantage. 3 seconds later, the goalkeeper pops the ball in front of me. Yes, that's a turnover because I've ducked under to get that advantage. So again, I don't like saying set time frames, but the advantage you would probably only let go for a couple of seconds. As I said, you wouldn't do it where they've ducked under on the 2 metre line and they get the ball at the other 2 metre line. You're not going to call that because so many things have happened since then.
This scenario is a little bit different. So I'm not engaging with any defenders. So let's say there is a restart. We lining up.
Okay. No, that's fine.
I go under.
Yeah.
And I swim underwater.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that is fine because you haven't taken the advantage away from your partner. Now, I understand what you're saying, but that's fine, Georgina. Yeah.
Thank you.
There's someone with E. I don't know who E is.
That's me. That's Emily.
Okay, Emily, what's your question?
Just to reiterate on the no time wasting, for the goalkeeper, I know when starting it can be a little bit decisive whether you call it or not. To ensure if there's a foul, the goalkeeper takes a minor foul, that they must play the ball. Otherwise to turn it over.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't. You'd only turn it over if there was a defender sitting there and they were waiting to jump on top of them to know when they'd played the ball. If they've got the ball and everyone else is swimming into their attacking end and no one is challenging them, you're not going to turn the goalie over for not playing the ball. So The only reason someone needs to play well, not the only reason, the main reason someone needs to play the ball is so the table knows when to start the clock and when the defender knows that they can approach that player. So again, in the context of the game, if the goalie's got the ball and you've given them a goalie throw for whatever reason, and everyone is swimming to the other end, and they're sitting there holding the ball and not playing it, with no one going anywhere near them, you would definitely not call not playing the ball for that. Absolutely not.
Super
But
good explanation. Thank you.
yeah, if someone is there as a defender trying to take the ball off them, well, yes, they would need to play it because that indicates when the defender can go to them. So thanks, Emily. Will.
Yeah, just with the going under, one thing that which I started to notice a lot at AYC was the attacker diving underneath the defender when they were driving down the pool, trying to get the kick out.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, if they've taken the defender's advantage away, it's a turnover. If their defender does not make any attempt to hinder the attacker, then you let play go because it's the attacker that's dived under.
Yeah, so I think, with that situation, and it's a really good point. You've got to make sure that you catch the first action, not the second action. Because what happens, I'll answer your question first, Will, and then I'll do a second part to that. So if you're going on a counter-attack, the attacker is absolutely allowed to try and cut off the defender. They can't duck under them and take that space away. If they duck under them and then the ball comes to them, absolutely, we would turn the ball over. But if they're just swimming into them and pushing them to the side, no dramas whatsoever. I think sometimes what happens in that situation, and also when we're on the perimeter driving towards the goal, is the attacker will duck under. The referee unfortunately doesn't see that. The defender is then on their back or grabs them, and the defender gets kicked out. And that's not right, because unfortunately the referee has missed the first action, which is the attacker ducking under. Yeah. So as referees, and I know it's a hard game to referee, we've really got to make sure that we get the first action first and not see the retaliation to that situation. Thanks, Will.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks.
I think Gail's got her hand up again.
Yes, sorry. I just quickly wanted to just digress back to Georgina's one. We had this discussion, I think it was at Oz Country, around that particular scenario where the restart, say after a goal at halfway, and the player goes under, comes up. The discussion around it was, providing they don't make any contact with the player, the attacking player with the ball, that's okay. They can make a clean steal and away they go. But the discussion then went, if they actually physically come up, grab the player and steal the ball off them, that should actually be a kick out.
Absolutely, yes. So if they're grabbing the player, fully agree. The example, what I thought Georgina was saying, someone goes under the water to get the advantage because the other team's going, oh, they've only got 5 players, where's the other one? And then they just pass them the ball clearly. But
might have been Georgina's, but this is sometimes often one that happens in club games.
Yes,
So there's contact.
If there's contact, it's exclusion. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Aidan, this is good. We've got good discussion on this one. I thought everyone had fallen asleep, so I'm glad this slide was next.
I was just going to add to that one. So on the restart, and they go underwater to try and steal the ball sneakily. If you're smart as the attacker, if you swim over to where they are and the defender pops up underneath, that would be an exclusion on them, wouldn't it?
Well, no, because you're going under to get the advantage and you're taking the advantage away from the defender if you're going to pop up underneath them.
So, sorry, if they are swimming underneath and if you swim over on the water to where they're going to pop up and they pop up and they push you up, would that be an exclusion on them?
Well, it would be a turnover because they're the attacker.
So if I've got the ball and I'm attacking and then they come underwater to me, and then
sorry, the defender, yes. If the defender comes under, yes, but if the attacker comes up under, then that would be a turnover.
Okay, sweet. And I just got one more about the free throw one. So it's 2 players, but is it just the 2 closest, or do they have to be behind the ball? So if I've got a foul,
no, behind or in front is irrelevant any longer. It's just the second closest.
okay.
Yeah.
So if they're both in front and they both take off, even if there's someone behind ready to take it, you still got to turn it over.
Look, again, be a little bit clever in that. If there's one just behind and you can see they're heading to it, but it's not going to take them 5 seconds to get there, that's fine, because you don't want to stop the advantage. It's basically to stop people, just everyone swimming past the ball and then the goalie going to get it.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Paul.
I think you've answered this already, but I'll just double check. I'm just chasing after the player that, and I think we've talked about it before, hiding underwater, whether it be, from a goal throw, from the goalkeeper feeding the first hook, and there's someone hiding underwater underneath that first hook that jumps up and steals the ball. That's effectively an exclusion.
It's an exclusion if you make contact with them. If you do it cleanly without making contact, then that's fine. You just need to make sure you do it cleanly.
Okay, so there must be if there's contact with the player receiving the ball, it's an exclusion. If there's no contact and it's a poor pass or it's a contestable pass, and you have front water on the ball over the receiver, then it's play on.
Yep. We don't want to disadvantage, clever or smart play, whatever you want to call it. So for a call to be made, there must be a foul. And for a foul to be made, there's generally got to be contact. So it's really important that you evaluate the situation, but they can cleanly steal the ball without touching the player. Absolutely, that's fine.
Yep. Okay. No worries.
Thanks,
Thank
Paul.
you.
Jack.
Wouldn't be going underwater be a positional advantage anyway?
It would be,
regardless if there was a foul or not, or contact made.
You only call that if the ball is there, and generally the ball is going to be there. So yes. But again, we don't call everything if they're not actually going to receive the ball and be of benefit. Otherwise, we'd be blowing the whistle every 2 seconds. Jack, you've got your hand up next, please. We've still got Jack, and I think then Will, and we'll move on.
Is it my understanding that it's not just if there's a rebound with the taking of the free throw? It's not just that, but if you're fouled, you can swim away from the ball, and someone from behind you picks it up, and if you've got a little bit of advantage that the defender didn't pick you up, that's quite all right as well.
That's quite all right, as long as the person is basically there straight behind you. You can't swim away if the next closest person is 10 meters. Yeah. No. This has got a lot of discussion, this one. Will.
Yeah, this one, again, occurred at AYC, and you're talking about gaining a positional advantage. The coach called a timeout. When the attacking team went back in, they all lined up directly behind the player who was going to play the ball. The referee blew the whistle. One of the players went down underwater, swam to advantage. The defending team had no idea. They couldn't work out that someone was missing. He popped up, passed the ball, and it put it into the goal. And the goal was allowed.
Yep. And the goal should be allowed there because there was no defender. The team should be aware of where the players are, basically. If they've done that cleverly, they haven't got an advantage, because the defenders didn't know where they were. If the defender knew where he was or she and they popped straight up on top of them, then that's different. But no, that should be allowed. Yep. Okay. Now we've still got Jack and Paul with their hand up, but is that the same question?
Oops, same question. I didn't know I had to take it down.
That's okay. All good.
Not sure I know how to do that either.
That's okay. I'll just, if you need to ask a question, just ask again then. Okay.
Same here, Nicola.
Okay, all good. No problem. So that's great. Thanks for all those questions. It's really good to have the questions and discussions as we're going through. So fantastic. Okay, let's move on now to the next one. So here we're talking about exclusion off the ball. So by that, an example I will give, which is usually what happens, centre forward, centre back, and the ball is on the perimeter. The centre back is being too heavy on the centre forward, but the ball is still on the perimeter, and the referee wants to exclude the centre back, which totally can happen. What we need to do as a referee is, if you are excluding off the ball, you obviously blow your whistle. The first thing you do is signal the number. It's not you're out, it's you signal the number. Because that player knows by the way you're blowing your whistle, they know there's an exclusion. So you don't need to do this to waste time. You signal number 7 so that they know that they're out. Once you've signaled the number, then you signal it's an exclusion. And then straight away you signal I'm putting the ball in play. Once you signal you've put the ball in play, the attacking team who has the ball on the perimeter is able to pass to that centre forward, who can shoot if they want to. But the attacking team cannot pass the ball to the attacker whose defender was excluded until the referee has done that. Because otherwise, if you think about it, that's worse than giving a penalty, because the ball can come to the centre forward who's on 2 metres. There's no one in front of them. The goalie's got no hope. So when it's an exclusion off the ball, signal the number, you're out, play the ball. As soon as you've done that, the attacking team can pass to that person. The attacking team can pass to anyone else they want to before you signal play the ball, and that's fine, but they just can't pass to the player who earned the exclusion until you signal that. There is no time frame. It doesn't say you take 3 seconds to do it, 5 seconds to do it, 1 second. The sooner you can signal that, it gives the advantage to the attacking team. And it means the defensive team needs to react really quickly to jump back on that centre forward and make sure they don't receive the ball free on the 2 metres to take a shot. So there's one example. Another example can be a drive on the perimeter. So we might have the ball on position 4, number 6 drives, the player grabs them and they're excluded. It's an exclusion off the ball because number 4's got the ball. Then same thing. Number 8, you're out, play the ball, then they can pass to the driver. But if they want to pass to someone else that's already defended, no drama. So really, really important 3 steps. Number, exclusion, play the ball. So I'm sure there's going to be questions with this one. So let's fire away with any questions about exclusion off the ball. Or is it clear?
I've got a question for you, Nicola. It's Libby.
Thanks, Libby.
Just one, so let's assume that the attacking team have just put it in before you've given the play the ball signal. Do you then give them another opportunity to play it?
Yes.
Do you say no, goal's not allowed, take it back, or play it from 2 metres?
Yeah, absolutely, Libby. Good point. So yes, you would not turn the ball over. You just say, no goal, you're free, play the ball from there. So you'd have to make sure that they take it out of the 2 metres because it's probably going to be in the middle of the goal, and they play the ball from where it is. Yeah.
And would you make, so if they had it on the 2, you'd make them play it for the 2. If they threw it back out and then played it, they could shoot after you've given that signal?
Yes, as long as the person that threw the ball out was outside the 2 metre. If that person was inside the 2 metre and threw the ball out, it can't be live until everyone's outside of the 2 metres inside the goal area.
Yep. Thank you.
And that's a really important point, that one, probably just in general, not just in this. I see it a lot where the ball is inside the 2 metres and inside the extended goal area, and someone will play the ball from 1 metre and pass it out to a teammate, and then that teammate shoots. Or you call that person on 1 metre inside the 2 metre. Well, you can't call them inside the 2 metre because you didn't get them outside the 2 metre to play it. And they definitely can't pass and shoot because that person was offside before they played the ball. So really important. The safest thing, I think, is get them all out of the 2 metres inside the goal area, and then they play the ball. Yeah, thanks, Libby. Any other questions or comments with the exclusion off the ball? That's the one I thought would have had a lot of discussion. So not so much the previous slides. That's great. Must be clear.
You were great explaining it, Nicola.
Thanks, Gail.
Nicola, just a quick one on that.
Yep.
In terms of signalling why an exclusion has occurred when it's off the ball, how important would you say that is when signalling the exclusion?
Okay, in the signalling, it's very insignificant, so not important at all until the player is out of the way. Then once they're totally out of the way and the play is in action, then you can signal what it's for. Really important to do those 3 clear things first, give the attacker a chance to score, then you can signal what it was for. Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, moving on to the next 3 rules that we've got. See, that last one had its own slide. The rest have got basically 3 per slide. So again, just to make things a little bit easier for refereeing, whenever there is an improper or an illegal entry, the call is the same. It's a penalty foul against that player, whether they're in attack, whether they're in defence, whether there's 8 players in the water, 7 players. Anytime that you realise someone is in the field of play that shouldn't be there, it's simply a penalty. Whether someone that was excluded has come in too early, whether both players have come back in and only one should have. Anytime there's an illegal or improper entry, very simply a penalty foul. The next one shouldn't really happen much, maybe with the younger ones, but again, just to be aware of it. If the player leaves the water during a game that isn't after a goal, isn't a timeout, or isn't a quarter time break. So let's say I exclude a player just for a normal exclusion. 9 blue, you're out. If they swim to the side of the pool and get out of the pool and walk to the corner, they're not allowed to do that. They've left the field of play and they shouldn't have. So unfortunately, that's called misconduct and they're excluded for the rest of the game. But obviously after a goal, they can swim to the side and get out. After a timeout, they can jump in. So that's the major one that I could think of. They get excluded. They think the easiest way to get to the corner is to swim to the side and jump out. Unfortunately, we can't do that. So again, just be aware of that, but probably you're not going to come across it. 2 things slightly different with the timeout. So again, you need to understand the rules of the competition that you're refereeing in. Every competition is different. Like in the BMJC, for example, in round games, we don't have timeouts. There's no time for timeouts in games every weekend. But in National League, of course, there's timeouts. So depending on what competition you're refereeing in, really important that you read the comp manual so that you as a referee are aware what rules are applied to that competition. So if timeouts are allowed in the competition that you are refereeing, a coach now, if they choose to, they're awarded a penalty for whatever reason, they might decide we're 1 goal down, there's 20 seconds to go, and my best penalty taker is on the bench. I'm calling a timeout to get that penalty player in the water to take my penalty throw that's going to draw me the game. I think it'd be a pretty big call because it shows that the coach probably has no faith on the 7 players that are in the water, but they are allowed to do it if they want to. So if they choose, a penalty is awarded and then the coach calls a timeout, Obviously, they can have their 45 seconds and then everyone swims down and you prepare for the penalty throw. Other than the penalty throw, a coach calls a timeout at any other time, usually on an exclusion. After the 45 seconds, everyone is at halfway, they move down, and then on the minute, the referee will throw the ball in at halfway or at behind. So that's the normal way to start after a timeout. So again, that has changed from previously, but I don't want to talk about what the old rules were because I don't want to confuse you, but just saying that that is different to what it has been previously. So any questions on any of those three rules?
Nicola, just with the second one, the player leaving the water,
Yep.
Can we just emphasise that it's actually when they do physically get out of the pool rather than, if they're being a bit lazy and wanting to sub instead of going to the substitution box, they hop out the back line on the right-hand side or something and go under the goal to get to the box or out in the flying sub lane, the difference there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, that doesn't mean they've left the field of play. They're allowed to go behind the goal, as Gail explained, and swim to their exclusion box. It's just if they physically get out of the water. Now, I would be saying as a referee, and I've done this before, you don't want to misconduct someone for that. They've done nothing wrong, really, but against the rule. So if I see someone's about to get out, I'm like, no, don't get out. Get back in, swim to the side. So you're there to help the game, not to go, aha, I'm going to make you get out and then red card you. So if you can see someone's about to do it, try and encourage them not to get out and swim to the corner. Because again, it's not a silly rule, but it's not something, they haven't punched someone, they haven't sworn at you, they've done nothing really terribly wrong. So yeah, we're there to try and stop that type of thing if we can. Okay, the next ones again are new and staying in what we're doing.
Can I, before you go?
Sorry, Paul.
Nicola.
Yep.
I just going back to improper entry.
Yes.
If you have possession of the ball and you have an improper entry, is that still a penalty or is that a change of possession and an exclusion?
No, it's definitely a penalty. So what they did, because it was so confusing with in possession, not in possession, improper, illegal, they just made a blanket rule, whether you're in attack or defence, whether it's improper or illegal, penalty. So, blanket rule, even if you're in attack, yes. Yeah.
No problem. Thanks, Nicola.
Okay, the next three, again, are things that are different from what they've been before. Some have been in a little bit longer than others. Let's say one referee on one side, a goal is taken. The referee thinks the goalie has tipped it, so they call a 2 metre. The other referee think it's missed totally and they've called a goal throw. So the referees have different opinions on what's happened. In this situation, the corner throw overrides the goal throw. So it's not like in other situations in a game where referees disagree on a call, there would be a neutral ball. In this specific situation, the corner throw will always override the goal throw. So just to be aware of that. Penalty throw at the end of a quarter. Now, this happens quite a bit, especially if you are playing running time. So let's say 5 seconds to go on the quarter, I award a penalty. By the time the goalkeeper gets in position, the attacker gets in position, 5 seconds is gone and the quarter time hooter sounds. We used to make sure everyone got out of the pool, went back, was sitting on their bench. By the time you do that, you've wasted a minute or two. So all they say now is, obviously the goalkeeper stays there, the shooter stays there, and all of the other players quickly move to the flying substitution area, which is just the side of the pool, and they still stay in the water. But that's a lot quicker, and then we can get the penalty throw taken and move on. The other one that they've changed and this was very harsh the way it was before, and I think now it's a lot fairer. If there is an exclusion of the goalkeeper in a penalty shootout, they are just excluded for that one penalty shot only. After that one shot is taken, they can come back in for the rest of the penalty shootout. For that one that they are excluded, a field player who is on the 5 shooting list can go in goals, but without the goalkeeper privileges. So again, the exclusion of a goalkeeper in a penalty shootout is just the same as the exclusion of a goalkeeper in normal play now, again, which makes sense. So any questions or comments on any of those 3?
Excuse me, Nicola, it's
Yes.
Georgina.
Thank you, Georgina.
Just so in this one, can a player who has goalkeeper privileges, so that 7th player, go in there, or the 2nd goalkeeper?
In a penalty shootout?
Yep.
In a penalty shootout, if the goalkeeper is excluded for coming off their line and being warned, the only one that can go in the goal for that shot is one of the 5 shooters.
Okay.
That are selected for the penalty shootout.
So there used to be this rule of having a field player that can act as a goalie. What about if they are the one that taking one of the shots? Is that not the case anymore?
You can have a goalkeeper as one of your 5 shooters, absolutely. But still, even if they were in this situation, they don't have the privileges of the goalkeeper that has been excluded. So if you happen to have a goalkeeper as a shooter, in that situation, they're not allowed goalkeeper privileges because they're in the penalty shootout as a shooter. They're not in there as a goalkeeper. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions or comments on any of those 3?
Yeah, Nicola,
Yes,
does that shooter that goes in as the goalkeeper,
Yep.
he doesn't get the privileges of the goalkeeper either?
Correct. Must only use one hand. Correct.
Yes.
Yep.
Thanks.
Any others before I move on to the next slide? No? Okay. The last 2 of the new rules that are being implemented to touch on before we talk about penalties. So again, and let's hope that neither of these things happen. You don't want these to happen in a game. So if we look at the first one, the referee now can issue a yellow card to the team. So it used to be that only a coach, the head coach, could get a yellow card as a warning. But now if the referee is not happy with, as a team, that they are simulating that they're being fouled all the time, they're repeatedly fouling, they're being a little bit aggressive, they may be protesting referee decisions even after being kicked out, they might do that. They might be just unsportsmanlike behaviour in different ways. So if the referee is finding that this is happening more across the team, they can give a yellow card to the team. So all they do is they have their yellow card, they hold their arm parallel to the sideline, and they just throw it across to the bench. Now, what that means is the whole team has been warned. Now, let's say I'm on the bench and I haven't even been in the water yet, but I then get in the water, next goal, and I then simulate that someone's fouling me. But even though I wasn't in that action before, my whole team has been warned. So if I then go in there and start pretending that I'm being fouled or questioning the referee's decision, I get red carded straight away because the warning is for the whole team. That's enough, no more, play the game. So regardless that I've been in the water for 10 seconds and then I do this, bang, I'm gone. So really, really important that we understand that you don't get a yellow card for every single one of those. That's one yellow card for the team and it covers all of those areas. And then the next person that does it, red card, no questions asked, goodbye. So again, really important to know that that's a good way to try and control the team. If you're finding that, exclusions, they don't care if they've got 20 exclusions, we've got more players. So that's something else that you can use if you think it's necessary. Again, hopefully we don't have to. And the last one to be aware of is accident, injury, or illness in the game is an immediate substitution. So by immediate, the referee has to find a suitable time to stop the game. If I'm on the blue team and I'm pretending that I'm injured, or I even am injured, and there's a counter-attack going the other way, you let that go, and when there's no advantage, 5-10 seconds later, you stop the game. That person that is has been injured or is not feeling well comes to the side, immediately can be replaced. So they can come to the side of the pool. They don't need to go back to the re-entry area. The coach is then asked immediately to sub that person. The substitute can come straight into the pool and that player can leave. But again, the referee must call the time stoppage, not the coach saying, stop, 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 I've got an injury. It's up to the referee to stop the game. If that person that has been substituted is later okay, their bleeding nose has stopped or whatever it might be, they can come back into the game at any appropriate time. They're not gone for the rest of the game. So any questions on either of those situations?
Yeah, Nicola, is that injured player allowed to get out of the water?
Yes.
Or does he have to stay in the water and go down to the exclusion box?
No, they've changed that now because the referee has stopped the game because there's an injury. We're not going to make that injured player swim back down. So no, because the referee now is stopping the game, that person can get out of the pool at the side if that's the easiest thing for them.
So, Nicola, if the player is bleeding severely,
yep,
and it's, say, the defending player, you've still got to let the attack happen and not stop to get the blood out of the water.
Yeah, because again, it's not let the whole attack. Like you'd see the serious amount of blood. If there's a one-on-none counter-attack, you've got to let it go. It literally is 5 seconds different. That person's going to be coming to the side of the pool anyway, but you stop it at the earliest possibility where there's no advantage to the other team. Sorry, no disadvantage to the other team. Yeah.
No. Clear, thank you.
Because not bleeding, but unfortunately, some players like to fool the referee with an injury to see if they'll stop immediately when maybe the other team's about to score. So we've just got to say at an appropriate time, we stop it as soon as possible.
Yeah, the classic cramp, isn't it?
Cramped. Yes. Yes, exactly. I'm cramped. Well, you can cramp for another 5 seconds, you'll be okay.
Okay. So two things, Nicola.
Yes, Emily.
One is on that whole looking at seeing if there's an injury occurred and outweighing the severity of the injury to the effect to the advantage of the game. Say someone's got a head knock, you're going to stop the game straight away, right? Because that could be a serious injury.
Well, again, you're not talking that you let it go for 20 seconds. It might be that it goes for 3 or 4 seconds. And that person who's already injured, people around them are going to start bringing them to the side. It's just that you've got to be careful. And I know that we've got to have a duty of care for the players. But unfortunately, some players like to play things up to try and stop a counter-attack. And it's been happened too often. So, of course, if there's a serious injury, you're stopping it and getting the game stopped and bringing the player out straight away. Yes.
And then second to that, going off the faking of it, if you do call stoppage of play for a player that is injured at an appropriate time, does that player must leave the field of play?
The one that you stopped it for?
No, I'm fine.
No. It's got to be an immediate substitution. So if you stop the game because someone's injured or sick or bleeding, well, bleeding's obvious, they must come out. They can't say, oh, no, I'm fine. They can come out and they can go straight back to the bench and get in the flying sub and come in again. But no, they've made you stop the game because they're injured. They must leave the pool, yes.
And then also say that someone, oh, this is in like a head knock situation. Say that, especially in the younger age groups, if a goalie say gets hit in the face by the ball, and they've kind of sunk to the bottom, you know, they're like okay, but they're young, they've been hit in the nose. You let the goal happen, then you can stop it and pull the player to the side to make sure they're okay and they're okay to go back in if they say that they're okay.
Yeah, as a referee, you can, if you see like a goalie save it with their head or something, and you know, some of them are just so used to it that they don't even flinch anymore. But yeah, you can pull the player over and say, "Are you okay?" And you can usually tell by looking at them. Again, you're no doctor. You can't just say, "Oh, you've got concussion," or "You haven't." But yeah, pull them over. "Are you okay?" Maybe turn to the coach. "Look, can they have a little break? Have you got someone else that can go in?" But you can't make them come out if we're not sure that, you know, that they're saying they're going to. There's no doctor on side of the pool that makes that call. But obviously, we want them out of the pool if you're concerned about them.
Yeah, super. That's good, because I know that a lot of cases have happened where people have faked the injury. You've called the time, they're like, no, and you just let play continue.
Yeah.
It's really good now that they are saying, if you have faked it enough, you must get out of the water.
Yeah.
If you
And
then
again,
get subbed straight away, that's your coach's prerogative. But
absolutely. Yeah. And it was also sometimes to try and get that 3-minute break. Oh, we're tired, we need a break. And that's why they also got rid of the 3-minute break. You've got 14 players on the bench, not on the bench. You've got 7 in the water and 7 on the bench. So, no, you're injured, you're out, someone else can go in. And yeah, if they want to sub within the next 10 seconds, you can't do anything about that, unfortunately. Yeah. Okay, and just conscious of time, we're going to be perfectly timed here, I think. So the penalty. Now, I really like, this is something that World Aquatics mentioned this year. So I've been fortunate enough to go to 2 international events this year, and I really found these 5 criteria fantastic. Now, obviously, things happen so quickly in a game. Am I calling a penalty? Am I not? But if you can remember these 5 things, it makes it so much easier. So for you to call a penalty, the attacker must be facing the goal. That's the easy thing. Not half turn to the goal, not their back to the goal. They must be facing the goal. The second one is, it's got to be a probable goal situation. If I'm on the side of the pool, literally on the lane rope, facing the goal, I tick the first criteria. Is it a probable goal? Not really, unless there's no goalkeeper. So if there's no goalkeeper, I'm on the side of the pool, it's not a probable goal. So I wouldn't call it. The attacker must be wanting to score. When this was first introduced, people would just get in front, stop, and just wait for it, like an Academy Award, give me, give me, give me. The attacker must have an intent to score. If the attacker doesn't want to score, again, you're not going to call it. But you've got to be careful. An attacker turns and holds the ball there, waiting for the goalie to fall and shoot. They're still trying to score. They don't have to be doing this to try and score. But again, they've got to want to score and try to score for that to happen. The impeding must be from behind. A defender coming from the side is not behind them. The defender must be from behind and they must get impeded. So if I am facing the goal, if it's a probable goal situation, if I am trying to score and I am fouled from behind, you've got 4 of the 5 things. The 5th one I find is the best thing to help with this. It says there cannot be any other defender other than the goalkeeper in front of the attacker. This last one is absolutely golden. What you need to do is you need to draw a triangle from the attacker's head to both goalposts. If there is no defender in that area, then I call the penalty. So if you imagine I'm in the centre forward position, I may be sitting on 4 metres, I've turned, I've got all those first 4 criteria, the attacker's in the centre of the goal, I draw that, there's no other defender, bang, it's a penalty. easy. If I'm coming in from the side, obviously the angle is smaller. So if I'm coming in from the side and the goal angle, the triangle, doesn't go from a really large triangle like that, it might go to more something like that. Is the defender in that area? If not, I call the penalty. So it's hard in this situation, but if you just imagine in your own head where that player's coming in from, draw that triangle from my head to both goalposts. If there's no defender in there, bang, I'm calling a penalty. And I have found that probably the single most valuable information that I've got out of World Aquatics in a few years, but definitely this year. It makes it so easy for me. And it's an easy one to explain. If the coach goes, oh, there was a defender there. Well, yeah, there was. But if you draw that triangle, the defender was outside it. And when I've explained that to a few coaches, they're like, oh, yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. So I really hope those 5 things help you in determining, do I call the penalty or not? Now, you don't have 20 seconds to get your checklist out and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, oh, penalty. A couple of them are pretty easy. You can make that decision. It's usually that last one, if there's a defender or, am I actually facing the goal fully? So any questions or comments on the penalty foul?
Yeah, Nicola,
yes,
if there is a player behind and they're clearly fouling, but there is another player in the triangle, how far do they need to be before they're discarded as being part of the defense?
As long as they're
close
as long as they're in that triangle from my head to the goalposts, the defender, I cannot call a penalty.
Oh, okay.
And they can't be too far away, because if you think about drawing that triangle, they can't be any more than 3 meters away from you, really, because the goal's only 3 meters wide. Does that make sense?
Yes, thanks.
Yep. Okay, great. Any other questions on the penalties?
That would then make it an exclusion then, wouldn't it?
Not if the attacker is holding the ball, because you can't exclude someone if the attacker is holding the ball. But if the attacker was not holding the ball, yes, it can be an exclusion. Yeah.
Nicola, just one more on this one. So does the second defender has to have the intent to try to steal or help? Because if they just arrived or just watching someone being turned, let's say fully, but they don't have the intent to actually defend, is it still a penalty?
Well, if the defender's got to be doing something, if they're under the water or looking out to the side and not even realizing what's going on, no. But generally, if they're in that area, the defender is going to be there to try and be stopping the goal. Yes.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the scenario that there's a smaller player, let's say they just don't want to take the exclusion or anything in a centre back.
Mm-hmm.
So they are playing centre back, so they move off the player, and then there is a player who is coming back and helping back, so crash back. Mm-hmm. And he's the one that is fouling, he or she is the one that is fouling the turning centre forward.
Yep.
So that there is clearly a player who just basically gave up defending and someone else takes the penalty for them. Yeah, that would be a penalty, isn't it?
Yeah, that would be a penalty, because that person's not impacting in the game in that situation if they've given up. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks.
Okay, I thought I'd finish, but I forgot about the 3 C's. So I'm going to move through these fairly quickly. So the 3 C's concept is about control, collaboration, and consistency. And again, I think that even though they talk about this at World Aquatics, this is 100% applicable to us as brand new referees, and they really help you in getting your mindset right for the game that you're about to referee. So you need to be in control of the whole game. That means the field of play, it means the team benches, it means the officials table. You need to control the game early. It is a lot easier to start off quite strict in a game, so maybe a few more exclusions if you're not sure, than let the game get too heavy. If you lose control of the game early, you're not getting it back. It is too hard to pull the game back once you've lost that control. So really important to have control of the game early. And the things that you can use to help you have that control, and we've spoken about these already. So you can have an exclusion. You can have double exclusions if the two players are wrestling and aren't even interested in playing. You can have warnings, you can have a yellow card, you've had red cards. So again, I don't like seeing red and yellow cards going everywhere. I think sometimes we get a little bit slap happy with the cards. But again, if they're warranted, absolutely. But control is really, really important. From the very beginning to the end, you're in control of the whole game. Also is the collaboration. So it's the collaboration between both referees. It's not, oh, that's your call and this is my call. You're on this game together as a team. What happens in the game is your responsibility as a team of referees. If you have a delegate on your game, they're part of them as well, the team, and obviously the table officials. So you're all working together to allow the game to flow the best that it can. The other thing with collaboration is, I know in our game, the referees have the whistle, your hand signals, your cards. That's how you communicate to the coaches and the players what's going on. But if you are comfortable, and usually when you're a little bit more experienced, there's nothing saying you can't speak to the coaches. Again, if the coaches ask a question in a really polite way at an appropriate time, you can talk to them. Usually that's quarter time. Not if they're yelling and screaming and asking things, you don't have to do that. The same with when you're refereeing a younger age group or a Division 3 or 4. You can stand on the side of the pool and blow your whistle louder and get more angry and agitated and hands flying everywhere. If those kids in the water don't understand why you're blowing the whistle in the first place, by blowing it faster and harder and louder doesn't help them at all. Take the whistle out of your mouth. Number 4 blue, it's your foul. 6 white, move back. Okay, play the ball. Number 6 white, you're excluded for holding. You need to swim to the corner. Blue, it's your ball. This benefits everybody far more than you standing there blowing your whistle crazily, because they don't understand. They're not being disrespectful usually. They don't know what you mean. So you blowing the whistle more and more, and I see it all the time, you as the referee get really frustrated, but they don't know what they're doing. So again, if you need to, no problem with helping out. And finally is consistency. And I say this with tongue in cheek, but it is true as well. I coach as well as referee. And I do say I would rather have a referee that is consistent but wrong with the calls that they make, but at least I know what they're going to call. There's nothing worse than inconsistency, where the ref makes the same situation. Once it's an exclusion, once it's play on, once it's a penalty, once it's a turnover, and you're left, like, everyone is confused. So I would rather have a referee that constantly gives a penalty when it's not actually a penalty, but I know what they're going to call because I can help my players adjust. So I said, I do say that tongue in cheek, but consistency is important. So consistency myself. If I call this an exclusion and I see the same thing again, whether it's blue or whether it's white, it's an exclusion. Consistency with my fellow referee. So we need to be calling the same thing. Consistencies from the first call that I make in the game to the last call that I make. If it's a competition, this weekend we've got all schools. If I'm reffing my first game at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning, if people see me refereeing that game and then see me refereeing at Monday at 4 o'clock, I don't know what time it finishes, I should be refereeing the same in both of those. Obviously getting better and fixing my mistakes, but I should be consistent in what I'm calling. And it's important as well to protect the game. And I see this all the time and I do understand it. Don't look at the scoreboard. One team is so much stronger than the other. I'll help them out. That's not your job. Your job is to apply the rules. Same thing. They've got more exclusions than them. I better start kicking them out. It's not about balancing things up. You call what you see. So really, really important to remember those three things: control, collaboration, and consistency. And as coaches and players, that's all we can ask for a referee. No one is perfect. No player is perfect. No coach is perfect. No referee is perfect. And we all need to understand that. Everyone expects the referee to be perfect, but players and coaches make probably as many, if not more, mistakes in a game than what referees do. But the referees are the ones that are always, copying it. So if you remember those three things, that also helps in your mindset and your professionalism in the game. Very quickly, and then I'm going to open it up to questions. So those of you that are wanting to be refereeing in any event organised by Water Polo Queensland, we will be having an online rules test that will be available next week. And this is not to trick anybody. This is to just make sure, one, you've attended tonight and hopefully learnt something. If you couldn't attend tonight, they'll look through the information and then you'll approach the questions. The reason we want this is we want, as I said, I don't want to say you passed and you failed. That's not what a test, in my opinion, is for. It's making sure that you are aware of the new rules and the implementation, so that you are fully prepared to stand up on the side of the pool and be the most informed and knowledgeable that you can be to set yourself up for success. And that's what I want from the rules test. And we probably don't even have to call it a test. We can call it a quiz, call it whatever. But it is important that everyone does it so that we know and can be assured for all of our teams that are playing that when Mary or Johnny stands up on the side of the pool, we know that Mary and Johnny knows what rules they should be refereeing under. So this will come out to all of our referees in the coming week. We're going to use Microsoft Forms to do that. You don't need anything special to be able to do it. And I'll send more information out about that next week. But again, don't freak out about it. It's more that I want that so that I can be assured that when you, as a referee, stand up on the side of the pool to referee, you're doing the best that you can for our teams and ensuring that you know the rules to the best of your ability. So I said, please don't freak out about a test that you will need to do. So thank you very much for tonight. It was great to have the questions on the way through and the questions being asked. So please don't go just yet, because I can see Gail has her hand up. And now that I've stopped sharing, I can quickly have a look in the chat to see if there's anything there I also need to answer. So Gail, can I hand over to you while I'm checking the chat, please?
Sure. Thanks, Nicola. Before we do finish up, can I just say this has been outstanding. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Gail.
And it's great that Water Polo Queensland have taken this initiative and supporting you to present this to us all, and the fact that you've allowed us interstate people who love the Queenslanders very much to be a part of it, because it's certainly going to enhance all the competitions that are going to be starting, like yours this weekend, and then Super League, and then NSC. So that's fantastic.
Thank you, Gail.
I just wanted to go back to the penalty situation.
Yes.
There's one that particularly probably the younger ones are a little bit too quick to call an exclusion on, is when there's a one-on-one happening and it's against the run of play. There's been an intercept, a player takes off with the ball, or there's been a quick change of possession, the pass has gone up to the one sitting at the top, they've taken off, a defender's chasing them, and they're grabbing them, they're pulling them, but the attacker is, say, a metre just outside that 6 metres, and the referee calls an exclusion. Try and hold off that little bit longer, let them get their upper body and the ball inside that 6, and when you think they can't go on any further, as long as that part's in there, there's your penalty.
Yeah. Thanks, Gail. And yeah, and it's that, and again, we have not spoken about every rule tonight. And obviously you've got the advantage rule there with your advantage penalty. And that's really important what Gail said in all aspects. It's being aware of where everybody is in the pool. It's not just focusing on something. And I'll share an example with you that it can happen to anyone at any time. I was in Greece in January this year refereeing at the Senior World Cup, and Hungary were playing Greece, close game. I was the defensive referee. So just going from I was attacking, I'm now moving into defense. For some reason, and I don't know why, I lost concentration for half a second. I didn't look to see what was ahead of me. I see an exclusion in front of me. I call the exclusion, and there's like this massive 2-on-1 at the other end. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, what have I just done? But you can't take it back. So anyway, Greece scores, and we're human. I turned to the Hungarian coach and I said, I apologize, my mistake. And he just went, it's okay, we all make mistakes. Now, if I hadn't have done that, and if I'd gone, I was right, again, you lose credibility with people. So we all do it. That was on a world event. It wasn't a local competition in Brisbane. 2 of the best teams in the world. So again, it can happen at any time, but it is important to really try and have that whole vision in front of you so you don't do what I did there and what Gail spoke about before. So thanks, Gail. Any other questions? I'm just looking through and we're talking about the manuals. So yeah, absolutely. Usually when a competition is running, whoever is running that competition will send out the manuals. I think that's been shared now, I think, hasn't it, Mabel, for you? Each competition should be there. Hi, Mabel, there should be a manual. Okay, yeah. So Tisha's put in there the comp manual for this weekend. They won't be using timeouts during the round, but yeah, have a quick read of that would be great. So any other questions or comments from anyone before we sign off for this evening? No? Okay, well, thank you again for joining tonight. I will, and those that aren't in Queensland, if you want to do the referees exam as well, test, quiz, whatever you want to call it, go for it to test your knowledge, see how we go. As I said, we won't be back on in 2 weeks because we'll all be at, not all, some will be at NSC, some will be in New Zealand. So our next information session is in 3 weeks' time. And the focus on that one is refereeing juniors. And for most of you, that's probably, where you're sitting, especially if you're new to refereeing. So, yes, we obviously have to have the rules, but what are the things, for example, like the one that I said before about talking to the players and coaches, we'll focus more on refereeing of junior water polo in our next session in a couple of weeks' time. So thanks all. For those of you that are going to be at all schools, I'll see you there. For those of you that are going to be in NSC, I'll see you there as well. Otherwise, I'll see you online in 3 weeks' time. Thanks all. Have a great night.
Thanks, Nicola.
Thanks again, Nicola. It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
Thanks, Nicola.
Cheers.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you, Gail.
Thanks, guys.